Hello and welcome to Nothing But the Truth. Was Rahul Gandhi right to call Sushma Swaraj a criminal? And is the Congress party justified in disrupting Parliament on the grounds that resignations must precede a debate? Those are the two key issues I shall raise today with the Deputy Leader of the Opposition in the Rajya Sabha, former Congress Minister Anand. I'm particularly grateful that he's agreed to do this interview because, as you'll soon discover, he's not well. Anand Sharma, let's start with Rahul Gandhi's comments about Sushma Swaraj before we come to Congress's behavior in the Rajya Sabha. Rahul Gandhi has said, and I'm quoting on Thursday, she is the minister of the government who has done a criminal act. When you do a criminal act, you go to jail. Sushma ji ne ek criminal act kiya hai, bhagore ki help ki hai. What law has she broken?
She has broken the Indian Penal Code.
Which one?
Section 212.
And what does that say?
If you assist someone who is wanted by law to evade the processes of law, you attract a cognizable offence of 212.
Can I interrupt you there? He's actually not technically wanted by law, and I'll tell you why. Because although he has notices from the ED, the Delhi High Court ruled when they handed back his passport that he had complied sufficiently. There was no reason for him to turn up at that stage in person. His willingness to comply by coming through his attorney or by video conference was sufficient. So he's not an absconder.
No, I'll tell you.
Therefore, there's no sense in which he's wanted by law.
No, I'll explain to you. On that particular day, when Sushma Swaraj intervened, both with Kiswas and with the British government, to facilitate issuance of British travel documents through the British High Commissioner, Michael Bevan, he was wanted by law.
No, he wasn't. That's
the point which I'm making. I'm very clear on that. Because the High Court judgment you are referring to is subsequent to that. Otherwise, he would have been qualified to pick up his Indian passport there and then. Let me explain to you. Let me explain. No, Karan.
The technical point you're making is that he's wanted by law.
No.
He was only wanted for questioning by the enforcement director.
Yes.
That is not the same as wanted by law.
No, listen. Since he was evading and avoiding...
He wasn't.
He was. And he had given an application to the British government for residence there.
A legal thing to do.
I'm not questioning the legality of that, but mind you, at that time, two requests, official requests with the complete dossier were sent by the Indian government to the British government and to the Interpol and a blue corner
No,
alert.
Nothing was sent to Interpol. No, the former Interpol General Secretary actually made it clear.
He may say so.
No, Mr.
You have to go by. The
Finance Minister today has confirmed that the so-called blue corner notice is not an Interpol notice. It is an internal enforcement directorate notice. Interpol doesn't come in.
If the Finance Minister is saying that, is there a sanctity of a blue corner notice?
Well, the blue corner notice simply gives you an indication of the level of seriousness with which the enforcement directorate wishes to question it.
If there was nothing, if he had done nothing wrong...
No, just a moment. Your claim that he's evading and avoiding is not true. He's not evading. He's not avoiding because he is willing to comply, and the High Court said that level of compliance
that's subsequent to that.
But it doesn't matter. It covers the event.
I don't accept that. Sorry. Somebody who has run away from the country...
He hasn't. He left legally.
Yes,
he didn't
without informing.
Well, he doesn't need to inform.
No, because he was called in for interrogation.
No, just a moment. An Indian doesn't need to inform the country when he leaves.
If you are called in for interrogation by the enforcement directorate, you quietly slip away from the country.
No, he didn't. The call from the enforcement directorate happened after he left the country, not before. Number two, his compliance was sufficient. Number three, he's not a criminal. And number four, she's broken no law. Rahul Gandhi, when he accuses her of a criminal act, is being libelous and defamatory.
Allow me to complete. First, this government, this Finance Minister Arun Jaitley and his Minister of State Jayant Sinha have informed the Parliament in December and March that there are 14 cases registered for which he is wanted for
not registered cases. They talked about notices. They're different things.
Listen,
please,
I'll give it to you.
Notices are not cases
I'll give
registered.
it to you. He says FIRs.
No, not FIRs.
ED FIRs.
No, he said ED notices.
Okay.
There are different things to FIRs, they're different to cases.
And they have given the amount, whopping amount.
That doesn't matter. It's just a notice for questioning.
Fine.
It's just a notice for questioning.
And then you are not available. But you run to another country.
The point, you're making two different points and you're wrong on both. First of all, it's a notice for questioning, not an FIR, not a case. Secondly, he is available. He is available for questioning. The High Court deemed his compliance to be sufficient at that time.
No, why are you insisting on the High Court? The same High Court
had earlier upheld. Because the High Court determines this matter. It's a legal issue you're raising.
The same High Court had earlier, the single bench had upheld the revocation of his passport.
And then the subsequent High Court ruled it down.
Let's go by the sequence of events that was subsequent. And Karan, let me put it very clearly.
But even
please allow me. She is a minister, foreign minister. He was an Indian national. Going hypothetically by all what you are saying, now let me put it straight to you. If a request was made by an Indian national whose passport stood revoked, and I'm repeating for the third time, the High Court judgment came much later.
But what request are you talking about? What request are you talking about?
To the British government.
For what?
He was to issue him the British travel documents.
So why is that illegal?
It is illegal because he was an Indian citizen.
No, not matter.
Even if he was wanted for questioning.
He's not taking British citizenship.
How can
he's taking British travel documents.
Why?
That's not an illegality.
It is illegality.
It's not.
Yes,
not under the law.
Your law, Citizenship Act does not allow that. He's an Indian citizen.
It's a form of laissez-passer.
No, I'm sorry.
Acknowledged by the United Nations. It is a facility that governments give. They give it on humanitarian
We are not
grounds.
a banana republic.
Illegal. That doesn't matter.
We are the Republic of India. We have a constitution. We have the laws. If it was correct thing to do, if she was convinced, let me say, she could have asked him to represent through the Indian High Commission in London, and Indian travel documents would have been given.
Now you're talking about judgment. That's not a crime.
It's not a question of judgment.
She may be guilty of poor judgment.
No,
she doesn't become guilty of a criminal act.
A person who is not presenting himself before the ED for 2 years, you facilitate clandestinely. Now let me be
even
very
the
firm.
clandestine nature of the facilitation is not a crime.
It is abuse of office.
It's not a crime.
It's abuse of office.
That's not a crime. It's impropriety, not a crime.
Not only impropriety.
Is not a criminal act.
No, I'm sorry. Means you are saying as if nothing has happened.
I'm not saying as if nothing's happened.
The Foreign Secretary does not know. The Foreign Office does not know.
Defamatory charge against him.
It's a violation of law.
Let me put it like this. You and
to my mind, we can have different interpretations.
Absolutely.
To my mind, it's a clear violation of law.
But this is the interesting point. Because there are different interpretations possible, and therefore a legal judgment is required to decide who's right, who's wrong, there's a real possibility that Rahul Gandhi is guilty of defamation.
There's no defamation.
And Nitin Gadkari has already said that Sushma Swaraj may well sue him for defamation. Are you worried that if Rahul Gandhi is sued, he could end up losing?
Why should we be worried?
Because he could lose.
Why would he lose?
Because he hasn't got a case that can be convincingly presented to court.
I don't think Gadkari is a very eminent jurist.
All right.
Gadkari is an apologist for Sushma.
Well, maybe he's also a colleague. Colleagues aren't always apologists.
But how can you, if there is gross impropriety, if there is abuse of office...
That's different to a criminal act.
No, I'm sorry. There's an oath of office. Karan, let's go clearly about it.
All right. Can I put this to you?
If I was a minister and I was to do such a thing, I have been a foreign minister, will I keep my foreign secretary in dark, my legal and treaty division in dark?
Those are improprieties.
These
are not improprieties.
No,
those are lack of judgment.
It's the intent, not lack of judgment. It is the intent to help an offender.
Well, no, he wasn't at that point
an offender.
He was an
accused. A person who is wanted is an offender.
Wait, he was an accused. He was a person wanted for questioning.
Is an accused.
An offender becomes someone who's been found guilty.
So when you help an accused, what do you do?
He hadn't been found guilty.
No, is it a charitable act?
Can I put it like this? Let's come out of the nitty-gritties of what he did, because there we need an interpretation. As I said, a judge will give it, and Rahul Gandhi could be either right or wrong. Let me put something else to you.
Why are you only confining ourselves to one remark of Rahul Gandhi?
I'll come to it, because
the issues are much bigger.
I'll come to the bigger issues. I want to put this to you. What surprises me is that Rahul Gandhi, who one day hopes to be Prime Minister of India, has used language people say so loosely and irresponsibly that it's not fitting of a person of his position.
I'm surprised.
Has he himself made a lapse of judgment?
He has not made any abusive or derogatory statement. I'm sorry. If you
this
look
is
at
derogatory and abusive. To call someone a criminal.
Well, then you have to find different words in the dictionary for the language which Narendra Modi had used repeatedly against Dr. Manmohan Singh, Mrs. Sonia Gandhi and others.
But is Rahul Gandhi emulating Narendra Modi?
I'm not saying.
Is Narendra Modi setting the precedent and example that Rahul is up to?
That was abuse. To say that guilty of criminal act. Okay, that is in his perception and in my perception and in the perception of many jurists.
Can I put this to you? You're a man who has a knowledge of history. You have a memory that goes back to the 80s. You remember and I remember that in the 80s when Bofors happened, the BJP used to say, Gali gali mein shor hai, Rajiv Gandhi chor hai. And the Gandhi family would bristle with understandable anger. Today, Rahul Gandhi is guilty of doing precisely the same.
He's not guilty of doing anything. He has made a statement because Sushma Swaraj is guilty, not Rahul. For abuse of office, clandestinely
so there's nothing wrong.
A person
Rahul's
wanted by law enforcement
Rahul's
agencies.
Done nothing wrong.
Sushma
nothing
has
wrong
to explain her act.
No. So Rahul's done nothing
wrong. And Sushma can explain her act to an independent inquiry when she demits office.
So you stand by Rahul's statement, you see nothing wrong in
She's
it,
not
nothing
called her a
loose,
criminal.
nothing irresponsible.
Listen, there is a huge
Well,
difference.
a person who performs a criminal act is a criminal.
Well, violation of law is what?
But I asked you that. What law has she violated? You can't point to it crystal clear in terms.
I have said so. A person
No.
who is wanted by law
He's
agencies.
not. That's the whole thing. Your whole explanation hinges upon that
No, you're wrong
qualification.
there.
That qualification
No, I don't agree
doesn't
with
apply.
you. I don't agree with you.
Let's then leave this aside.
Then why the 14 notices? Why the person is not presenting
That is
himself
simply
in
for
India?
questioning.
Why
Questioning
is
is
he
not
not?
wanted by
Why
law.
is he applying for British travel documents?
Because he doesn't have an Indian
Yeah,
passport, and,
no, listen.
and it is something the British government is willing to give, and it's not illegal to apply.
No, it is deliberately done. It is much deeper.
All right.
Much deeper.
Let's agree to disagree
What
on this issue.
prevented her from-
Let's come to the bigger issue.
Let me
Let's
tell
come
you.
to the bigger issue.
As a sovereign,
Yeah.
what prevented her to give her the Indian travel documents and
But
inform
you've
the
raised
court?
this issue before, and I've agreed with you that she's guilty of poor judgment. But that's not a crime. The two are different things.
Well.
But we're going around in
if you
circles
do
now.
it,
Let's come
why
to
did
a
she?
Anand Sharma, let's come now to
I
the
have
second
to ask
issue.
a question to you. Why did she? The British government didn't ask the Indian government. It was she who volunteered.
Because she chose to, and she made a mistake, and it's lapse of judgment. It's not a crime.
Not lapse of judgment.
Well, lapse of
She
judgment
knew
is
that he was wanted by law.
He wasn't wanted by law. He
Well,
was
I'm
asked for
sorry.
questioning, and the two are
Her
different. We're going around in circles.
husband and daughter
Anand Sharma,
were part of his
let's
legal
not,
team.
Let's not go around
Don't
in
forget
circles
that
over
then.
the same point. Let's
Don't
not,
forget that.
Please, let's not go around in
No,
circles.
let the viewers also know.
I want the viewers
You're a
know
foreign
this.
minister.
These are facts
Your family
that I know.
members are part
Forgive
of his
me.
legal team.
Forgive me.
He has run away from
you
the
are now
country.
evading and avoiding
I'm
the
not
second
evading or
issue I want to
avoiding.
raise. Then give me a chance to raise
They
the
are
second
evading and
issue.
avoiding.
No, give me a chance now to come to the second issue. We've discussed this
Yes,
sufficiently.
yes.
The second issue is Congress's behavior in the Rajya Sabha this week and in the Lok Sabha as well. At a time.
What do you mean by behavior?
I'll tell you. At a time when the government is willing to discuss all three scams and scandals, and at a time when Sushma Swaraj is willing to make a statement, why is Congress refusing a discussion and
I'll tell you.
disrupting the House instead?
Nobody is disrupting. Government is disrupting. We have demanded in our notices clearly Prime Minister to fix accountability and take action. Discussion is no substitute to independent inquiry and accountability. They are established precedents. Karan, listen.
Your
These
boss
are not
in the
my
Rajya
precedents.
Sabha, Ghulam Nabi Abzad, has publicly said and repeatedly said that there will be no discussion until there is a resignation.
Yes.
That is putting the cart before the horse. That is like saying we hang the man first, then we try him to find out if he's guilty.
Why did you not ask this question when this was done to Ashwini Kumar, when this was done to Pavan Bansal, when this was done to
point is
ministers
you
after
didn't take
ministers?
this stand at that
No,
time.
but I'm
you
sorry.
buckled under their
You are-
pressure. They are not buckling
no,
under yours.
there is a different set
And
of
I'm putting
standards
to
for
you
them.
that you're wrong
No,
to put
parliamentary
pressure.
accountability is parliamentary accountability. It's for the government. And let me also set the record straight here. We are very keen to have serious discussions and
But you
deliberations.
can't be
Not
if
on
your
this subject.
condition for
Not
discussion
on this
is
subject.
resign
No.
first.
First, no, people
You're not
cannot.
letting Parliament function.
No, people cannot. Government ministers are shouting. They are heckling the opposition leaders.
On television, you and Mr. Azad, Sitaram Yechuri,
Well,
and
we are
other members of
talking
the
sense.
opposition are doing as much shouting as them.
Not shouting. We are making a point.
Can I put this to
And
you?
we have to raise
Can
the
I put this
decibels
to you?
when we are being heckled
Let me put it like
by
this.
ministers.
You know better than me, because you're a parliamentarian, that the raison d'etre of parliament is debate and discussion.
Yes, that's what
it
we
exists
want.
for. The government is willing, you're refusing.
Well,
Why are you refusing
Karan,
debate
I am
and discussion?
surprised by this double speak and double
Where's the
standards
double
of this
speak?
government.
Oh, there. But where's the double
Well,
speak?
one set of rules, one set of standards, one set of propriety when they are in opposition, and it changes completely, a 360-degree turn. And you are saying that, well, they are right.
I concede your point that they were the ones who set the precedent in 2011. I concede your point, which you haven't made, but you could, that Arun Jaitley provided the justification when he said that obstruction is in fact a legitimate parliamentary tactic. But you knew at that time that this was not an example you should follow. You criticized him when you were in government.
Example.
Now, because that you're in opposition,
issues are
you've suddenly
serious.
done a U-turn
No, the
and you
issues are
jumped
serious.
onto his
No,
logic and
no.
his bandwagon.
Now, let me also actually contradict you here.
Go ahead.
Because this government, this Parliamentary Affairs Minister Venkaiah Naidu and Arun Jaitley, in recent press conferences have said that in the last 1 year, Indian Parliament has done more work in the previous 10 years.
True, that
so the
was
credit
true of
belongs
the
to
winter
us.
session, that was true
No,
of the
please,
budget session,
please,
but not the monsoon
no,
session.
Please, the credit for that 1 year belongs to us.
Also, not entirely,
No.
but also.
Oh, no, I'm
Also.
sorry. I'm sorry. No constitutional amendment can go through without the Congress Party.
But-
no, mean none.
Well, which one has gone through other than NJAC?
Which one? That?
GST is stuck.
Well, the land boundary agreement is there.
But GST is stuck.
GST is stuck, not because of us.
The point I want to make to you is this.
GST has not even come. It's not a GST bill. It's a constitutional amendment bill.
Let me put it like this. The Indian people see the behavior
GST
of
was
the
opposed by
opposition,
Narendra Modi and the BJP.
Indian people say that this is undemocratic.
No, Indian
when the
people are
government
saying
is
this is
willing to
undemocratic.
discuss, why is Congress running away from debate and discussion?
We are not running away. We are not running away, but accountability has to be fixed.
But accountability is usually
discussion
established
of what?
through debate.
Discussion of what?
Of what you consider to be
Sushma herself has admitted. Vasundhara Raje has
admitted to criminal acts. You could put
not
it
a criminal
on the floor
act.
of the House.
She said that I facilitated.
Yes,
she
but
has
that's
said
not a criminal act.
She has admitted that she did not tell the foreign secretary.
That's still not a criminal act.
Wow. Gross impropriety and abuse of office.
Gross impropriety is different to criminal
and abuse
act.
Of office.
And you know that. Look, you could use the debate to prove on the floor of the House and the country that Sushma Swaraj is guilty of things that you claim, that Vasundhara is guilty, that Shivraj Singh Chauhan is guilty. You have a convincing debate, you'll carry public opinion, you'll probably carry the parliament. By refusing to debate, you're making people think you're undemocratic.
Debate in parliament is no substitute to an independent investigation and accountability.
But Parliament isn't a court of law and the investigation doesn't happen in Parliament.
I'm sorry, the executive is accountable to Parliament.
Hang on a second. Yes, but that accountability is established through debate, not through obstruction.
I'm sorry. When the admissions and confessions are there...
There is no confession.
It's not a confession that yes, I helped.
Yes, I helped is not a crime.
Facilitated.
No, that's not a crime.
Of course it's a crime.
No, you're claiming a crime.
You are an Indian citizen, Karan, and if you are wanted tomorrow by the Indian enforcement agencies and you quietly escape...
Can I make a simple point? You have probably some of the strongest debaters in Parliament on your side collectively as an opposition, right?
We are ready for debate.
Anand Sharma, Ghulam Nabi Azad, Manishankar Iyer, Sitaram Yechuri, all of them are fantastic. They probably got a minimal 2 or 3 on the government side. Have the debate, you'll win it. You will in colloquial terms hammer the government. Public opinion will be with you. Parliament will function. And you will have shamed them. No. That's what you need to do. Shame them into the resignations rather than obstruct the House.
No, what? We are not obstructing.
Why don't you use shame and the force of your arguments?
Let me correct you. When you have a situation when the leader of opposition or the deputy leader of the opposition get up, or the senior leaders like Sitaram Yechuri, Sharad Yadav, Mayawati, the moment we are on our feet, after giving a due notice under the rules, immediately the treasury benches led by none other but the leader of the House, the cabinet ministers start heckling us.
Well,
who is obstructing
them? Forgive me, we are
Who's
also watching television. And you know what they said? He said it on Thursday. He said it pointedly with reference to the notice you had brought.
He misread.
The Thursday notice he claimed did not have the condition.
Listen,
right?
Karan,
and by the way, on Friday, your colleague Pramod Tiwari, on Friday, that's yesterday, has also brought a notice under Rule 67 seeking suspension of business to discuss
you talk to me about my notice.
Pramod Tiwari is a member of your party.
Please talk to me about my notice. That's a serious matter now. And that is not dying down. You will see on Monday. You read the rules of the Rajya Sabha. I was the mover of the motion. It was not only a notice. It was a motion.
But was there a condition?
Please allow me.
Jaitley says there was no condition.
Please allow me. Jaitley has violated grossly the rules of the House. Mover of the motion has to speak on the motion. He took my motion, a copy which is given as per practice to the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, and without the mover being allowed to say a word, he misread selectively my notice. No parliamentary rules, listen to me, allow, and Arun knows it very well, allow you to give a notice for a resignation. So the word are accountability and action. Has he forgotten his law and English both?
So let me.
And this issue, I want to clarify. This issue is not going to die down.
I understand.
He has misinformed, misled.
I want to clarify what you're saying because it's very important, and I want the audience to fully understand.
He has abused.
Just a moment.
His position as leader of the House. What he did is unpardonable. He has brazenly violated the rules and insulted, in fact, the privileges of a senior leader in opposition who was to move the motion. Before I could open my mouth, he starts selectively reading.
Anand Sharma, let's go through
a very cheap tactic.
Let's go through the charges you're making one by one because they're
not
so
charges,
important.
It happened.
No, I'm clarifying for the audience. Number one,
why did he do such a thing?
Please, for the audience, let's try and understand because it's critical and I'm not quarreling with you. Number one, you're saying that he deliberately, selectively misread.
He had no right even to pick it up and read it under the rules.
So the first thing wrong was he had no right to pick up the notice and read it?
No, it is the mover of the motion.
Secondly, you're saying...
The government can respond to my motion.
Secondly, you're saying that he deliberately misread and deliberately selectively read. Selectively read and misread.
When he read, he did not use the word. Please, Go by the video recording. He did not use the word accountability and action. They're demanding from the Prime Minister.
So he was
distorting
your notice
yes,
to suit his purposes.
To suit his purposes.
And secondly, secondly, you're saying he had no right to have the
no
notice.
right at all.
What
no,
about,
to pick up and read my notice.
He read out a rule on the floor of the Rajya Sabha which says that all members are given the notice.
Please, no,
he read
that's
that
wrong.
out.
He's wrong there. Please, 267 is very clear. You can check from the rules. I have the rule book here with me. And also there is the rule.
So at what point do members of the House get given a notice?
No, it is only given, it is put on the notice board. It is read. Chairman and Deputy Chairman and the Secretary General have the notice.
So he had no right to have the notice.
Listen, it is the Minister of State for Parliamentary Affairs who had the copy, which as per the rules is given to the government, because the government must know which notice is coming, so the government can respond. But the rules are also crystal clear. I will show it to you that it is only the right of the member and only of the member, the mover of the motion, to read the motion and to move the motion, and only the chair to take a decision.
So Arun Jaitley had no right to have the motion in his hands. That's what you're saying.
He had no right to get up and speak on the motion when I have not even moved the motion.
What are you going to do as a step against this? What action do you plan?
No, you will see on Monday.
But what, are you proposing a privilege motion?
No, we will insist on a ruling from the chair, and he'll definitely be red-faced. He knows that he is guilty of violating the rules.
What are you looking for? An apology? Are you looking
he should apologize.
To you personally?
In the House.
On the floor of the House?
Yes, so that the country knows that he did what was wrong.
And just so that the audience understands, what is he apologizing for? Just explain that.
For transgressing the privileges and rights of a leader in opposition by picking up his notice before he could move the motion and selectively misreading it.
And this is something you will demand on Monday when Parliament convenes?
Yes, he should. As a gentleman, he should get up and acknowledge his mistake.
Leave his gentlemanliness aside. But you will demand this, and you're going to approach the
But we are not
Speaker
going to
of the Rajya Sabha, the chairman of the Rajya Sabha.
I have already informed him.
That you want action?
Yes, it is up to the chair to give a ruling.
Has the chair given you any response?
No, chair will give a ruling. We will insist on a ruling.
We've gone into this in great detail because this is an issue that concerns you. It was an issue that happened
because he misled the entire country, not only House.
Absolutely, and the country saw it on television. I want to come back briefly in the limited time left available to what I call, or what the people call, the behavior of Congress on the floor of both houses of Parliament. Do you really believe that at a critical point like this, when legislation is being held up, when debate is essential, that obstructing is the right way of making the government accountable? Is there no better way? Is there no better way?
If NJCA was passed, if insurance bill was passed, if land boundary agreement, we facilitated, Coal Act, Minerals Act, who did it? We are a very responsible opposition.
But now you're
they
taking
wasted
a different
900
stand.
hours of parliament.
But now you're taking a different stand.
You are talking in 72 hours. They wasted 900
Can I quickly
hours.
put this to you? Many people in the country say that there is arrogance in the position taken by Congress. There's no resignations first, after that debate. That stand is an arrogant
this is established
stand.
Parliamentary practice now. Precedents have been set in the last 10 years.
By Arun Jaitley and the BJP, they've given you a convenient hook on which you can...
Not convenient. They should have known at that time that they obstructed Parliament, and now to re-quote what you quoted, that it's a legitimate parliamentary tactic.
How long will this continue? Your stand that there will be no
Prime
debate?
Minister. There can be debate even on Monday.
Provided there are resignations.
No,
and if there are no resignations, then what?
Prime Minister should fix accountability.
But if that accountability is not fixed, there will be no debate.
Then it exposes them for their double standards.
Until that happens, there will be no debate.
These people cannot occupy office.
So there will not be debate.
They have to respect the
So
precedents.
you're saying to me that the whole monsoon session could be washed out?
There will be debate. It's for the Prime Minister and his government to take the call.
Yes, but if he doesn't take the call in the way you want, there will be no debate.
The blame is not on us. Dr. Manmohan Singh took the call as Prime Minister, and the debates followed.
So you're saying to me very clearly, even though you're not saying it in so many words, that the monsoon session is washed out unless the Prime Minister sacks three ministers.
He has to take action. He's silent. Karan, my question to you is that 7 weeks, and the Prime Minister speaks on everything, tweets on everything, Man Ki Baat on everything. Why is he silent?
Well, Prime Ministers have a right to be silent. Dr. Manmohan Singh hardly ever spoke.
No, I'm sorry. On such matters, he did at least come to the Parliament.
So Congress is adamant you've made up your mind. The ball is in the government's court.
Prime Minister's court.
And if the Prime Minister doesn't act, there will be no debate. The monsoon session is wiped out.
If you have a copy of my notice, I demanded from the Prime Minister. And Prime Minister came to the House day before when
And
I
didn't
asked him,
respond.
and
Okay.
he did not. He walked up to us after the House was adjourned and gave no indication,
We're
not even a word.
going to have to leave it there. I'm very grateful that despite the fact that you have a bad throat, you clearly have in fact a viral infection, and you were often not looking well, that you still agreed to this interview. A pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Karan.